I'm going to keep this video pretty brief because I'm fairly exhausted after a night of boxing here. Good fight. Fight of the night, certainly. Smith v Sosa. And Sosa wins. The judges scored it pretty accurately from my perspective. Sosa seemed to have the run of the fight for me. 9 rounds to 3, 8 rounds to 4, something like that. In the early rounds, Sosa appeared just to be able to kind of steamroll Stephen Smith a bit. Sosa was a bit of a wrecking ball going forward. I think Tony Bellew perhaps described him as a bull going forward, and I thought that was an accurate description. He came forward with a lot of momentum. He was a real offensive juggernaut on the front foot. He brought high output and high pressure, and for me, Smith struggled to deal with that. Smith picked up a horrific cut early on in the fight after a handful of rounds and kind of threw caution to the wind a bit more, and we saw Smith connect with some real decent punches, both to the head and also notably to the body, and Smith did land to the body with regularity and with eye-catching nature. Unfortunately, Smith didn't have the power and didn't have the continued success in order to make the fight go his way, and Sosa was a deserved winner. Smith looked good in patches of the fight. He landed good punches, but all in all, the abiding memory from this fight is Sosa marching forward, Sosa pushing the action, Sosa having the momentum, and Smith not really having enough skill or power to keep him off or to put him on his back foot. And really, Sosa kind of governed the pace and the result of this fight as far as I'm concerned. Smith showed a huge amount of heart and will to win and desire. I'm going to be completely honest and say that historically I have not been a Stephen Smith fan. I found his character outside of the ring to be moody and a bit dull, and frankly he's not a guy who for me is overly likeable. Stylistically in the ring, I've never found him the most inspiring. I've always kind of thought he was a little bit basic and a bit shy of world class in terms of skill set and in terms of attributes, and the combination of that as well as the slightly lacking personality has given me less interest in his career than some of the other fighters out there. But based on this performance, he has made a fan out of me tonight. He showed a tremendous amount of heart and guts and will to stay in there. And, when it actually looked like he was going to have a very, very unsuccessful night, he was able to turn the tide, perform with immense credit, and, win several rounds in there. Fundamentally, do I believe he's a world-class fighter? Do I believe he's a world champion? No. I kind of believe he's in the same kettle of fish as the Paul Smiths, the John Ryders, the Martin Murrays, those kind of guys who are unfortunately lacking in the attributes, the skills, the power to make it at the very, very top level. I just believe that Smith is going to need something else to his game in order to get a breakthrough at this sort of level, and he's not getting any younger. The power isn't there, the technique isn't there, not at the elite level, and I just believe he's going to be one of these who persists in coming up short. What Eddie Hearn will do with him next, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what route they take and what big fights there are that can be made for him. But at this particular point, I'm struggling to see an obvious route to stardom for Stephen Smith. Nevertheless, he's made a fan out of me tonight, and I'm more interested in seeing him fight again, having just sat through that performance, than I have been in his career to date. So fair play to him for a result of that. I didn't do a Jamie McDonnell video because I was a bit tired. Let me just say the McDonnell-Solis scoring, ludicrous. Could you make a case McDonnell won the fight? Yes, you probably could. On my card, Solis won the fight. I think the most sensible way to score the fight is 8 rounds to 4 or 7 rounds to 5 in favour of Solis. I was really surprised how McDonnell struggled to deal with Solis. I've always thought of McDonnell as a a borderline world-class operator. I thought his back foot game was immense. I thought his back foot jab was immense. His evasiveness was immense. Whether there was something wrong with his performance, whether it's that he was tight at the weight, or whether it was just that Solis was the better man on the night, I thought Solis was dissecting his defence, and I don't think McDonnell could deal with his pressure. I think Solis has every right to feel hard done by. Now, stylistically, the fight was between two fighters operating in completely different fashions. You know, McDonnell was the sort of back foot, rangy fighter. Solis was the come forward, aggressive, close range sort of fighter. And when you get clashes of styles, sometimes it does lead to discrepancies in the judging, because the judges prefer one style over another, and typically in my experience judges prefer that kind of boxer mover, jabber, range type fighter. So you know, is it a robbery? Maybe. You know, I think you could make a case, and I had Solis winning, but I think you could make a case for this fight being close. But when the scorecards come out and it's McDonnell 117, 111, you know, it's frankly ludicrous stuff, and you just wonder, like, if this is doing damage to the sport. You know, when you're seeing scorecards like that. I'm going to read out two quotes from the official Matchroom Boxing Twitter, okay, and this relates to the Smith versus Sosa fight. So let me just pull it up here now, because I retweeted these during the fight. Matchroom Boxing, round 8. Smith chopping away at Sosa and in the driving seat, you feel? How many of us watching this fight after round 8 thought Stephen Smith was in the driving seat? Seriously. Round 9, again from the Matchroom Boxing Twitter account. Sosa hurt at the end of that round and holds on to hear the bell. You know, now if you were just watching this fight on Twitter, you know, following the Twitter feed, you've heard that round 8, Stephen Smith is in the driving seat, and round 9, Sosa is holding on. You know, it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous, and you've got to wonder if this is another very, very, very bad night for boxing. You've had the Martin Murray fight, which I believe Martin Murray did do enough to win, and I felt the scorecards were fair, but I understand those scorecards have come in for a lot of criticism. You've then had Luis Ortiz and Malik Scott in an absolute snooze fest, one of the worst fights you'll see in the heavyweight division. You've had McDonnell Solis in a fight that I felt went the wrong way. I felt Solis deserved to win the fight. I was amazed by the result, by the way. I really rate Jamie McDonnell, but you know, I felt Solis won the fight, but instead it goes to Jamie McDonnell, and by a wide margin, you know, 117, 111, 116, 112. That suggests it wasn't a competitive fight. Ludicrous, you know. And then in the main event, you know, I'm not saying the scorecards were wrong for the main event. They really weren't. But, you know, Matchroom don't help themselves when they're putting out tweets like that from their official boxing account. You know, it's no wonder that they come in for some stick and some criticism. And do you know what? As the scorecards were being read out, I was genuinely nervous that Stephen Smith was going to be awarded the fight, because, and you know, there was no question with the scorecards. The scorecards were absolutely fine, but seeing those tweets from the Matchroom Boxing account and you know, some of the recent cards that have come out, I was genuinely sitting there nervous that Jason Sosa was going to be robbed and that the result would go Stephen Smith's way. And had that been the case, you know, well, it wasn't the case, so it doesn't matter. The right man won, and you know, Sosa retains his belt and is still the world champion and not Stephen Smith. But there we go anyway. I said it would be a short video. It's ended up being the standard 10-minute duration. But let me know your thoughts on tonight's results. Let me know where you see the fighters going next. Dillian White's been calling out Luis Ortiz. Is that a fight that you think could happen? I know Ortiz is out in December the 10th. Will he fight Dave Allen on that bill? You know, let me know your thought on that. Dave Allen wants that fight. Would anyone give Dave Allen a chance, having seen what they saw tonight? Potentially interesting. where does McDonnell go from here? Does he change weight classes? Where does Stephen Smith go from here? What routes are there left for Stephen Smith? Do you want to see Martin Murray box again? Lots of questions after tonight's night of boxing. Leave your comments in the section below. If you've enjoyed the video, take the time to hit the thumbs up button. And if you're new to the channel, as always, please do hit subscribe. Appreciate you guys tuning in.